Champions Cup Friday games. Castres, Munster, Cardiff and Quins. Pretty good, to be fair. Both games won at the death. Both of the home sides will be pretty gutted to have lost, having put themselves into winning positions. But as a neutral, especially, games that go down to the wire and have a wee bit of drama are the kinds you like to watch. Now, these ones kicked off at the exact same time, which was a bit unfortunate, but they finished about 15 minutes apart. So I did kind of simultaneously watch them, which as always means it's good because you get to see both games in full instead of watching highlights, but you still miss stuff because sometimes the action is going on in one game but not so much the other, or vice versa. So yeah, we'll go through the game, some of the key stats, and you guys let me know your thoughts on what you reckon. We'll start with Castres and Munster, which was certainly the lower scoring of the two. Both sides maybe knocked the ball on a little bit more than they would have liked to. Munster's line-out was especially frustrating in this game. I feel like they had, chances to put themselves on the board more so than they did. But I mean, I guess you got to give credit to Castres for the line-out disruption. They certainly did a good job of that. I mean, there were handbags in this game within 8 minutes. Like, these teams don't like each other at all. I don't know what it is. Like, 8 minutes, come on, man. The game's hardly started and they were already kind of showing a bit of that bad blood. But I guess that's, again, as a neutral, seeing a bit of the players getting kind of amped up is also not a bad thing. Munster did open the scoring with a penalty. It was a pretty well-struck one. And your young fly half, what's his name? Crowley? He's pretty good. For a guy under a heap of pressure, he did pretty well. He struck that penalty really nicely, quite long range to put them ahead. Both sides lost players. Castres lost their halfback, Errata, and Munster lost Niall Scannell off injured, so they kind of both had to be replaced, which is, again, unfortunate. Munster had a great attacking chance on 22 minutes but couldn't secure their line-out ball, and then a moment later, after Castres had kicked it long field, down the field, Munster knocked it on. So I was kind of shaking my head at that one as a wee bit frustrated, because while this game was going on at the same time, there's flipping tries galore. So it was it was especially frustrating, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. That being said, you did get a pretty nice try through Castres on 27 minutes. Laragon got the try. Nice little dink through from Botia off the side of his boot. And 7 points to 3, so Castres went in front. Munster did well to shut down a Castres move because Nkosi, the big winger, the big Fijian, was beating people, tearing down the left wing. But no points scored. So halftime, 7 points to 3. Munster have had more run meters, 207 to 175, so kind of tight, but defenders beaten. It's all Castres at half-time, 9-1, and most of those probably would have been Nkosi, to be fair. Second half, Munster kick over a couple of penalties to put themselves back in front, 9 points to 7, but then Castres kick one to restore their lead, just 10 points to 9, and then Castres at one point even tried a massive drop goal, but it was just a wee bit short. But I guess that's just kind of the nature of the game, where you were looking to kind of get points whenever you could. 66 minutes, another one where Castres managed to put on a heap of pressure on the kind of kick chase. They put on a high ball and then just swarmed the breakdown to win a penalty. So that put Castres up when they kicked it 13 points to 9. And I thought, in a game like this, that might be good enough, right? It doesn't look like Munster are going to score a try. They did get a big line break through. Who's their reserve guys at Hoodnett? The Munster big reserve Lucy. He had a big line break because line breaks were pretty hard to come by. Munster got a penalty. They decided not to opt for 3. The commentary team were begging them to opt for 3, but they went for the win. And they lost that bloody line out again. Very much shaking your head. And you're thinking at that point, that's probably the game, right? In a game like this where tries are so hard to come by, if you couldn't score from that one, you might be done. But no, Gavin Coombs. I love Gavin Coombs. He is so fun to watch. The go-go gadget arms. He doesn't, I'm used to watching him kind of breaking tackles, and he doesn't really have to break tackles for this one. He just gets low to kind of avoid the main contact of the tackle. And he knows I can reach that far, and he just reaches out, dots the ball down. Like a phenomenal try, and then a great conversion as well to make sure it's like if Castres are able to kick, at least they're only going for the draw. So yeah, phenomenal conversion, phenomenal try. 16 points to 13. That's the final scoring of the game. Munster are able to see it out. Just, but they got it done. Possession 55-45 to Munster, but territory 54-46 to Castres. So kind of pretty even split. Munster end up with more run meters, 398 to 242, but also more turnovers conceded, 14 to 10. Sometimes like just the odd knock on and whatnot was a bit frustrating. As I said, the line out, Castres 10 from 10, Munster 9 from 12. So it's just those like that. It ends up like 75%. You can't be operating 75%. You need to be better than that. Clean breaks 3-1 to Munster. Defenders beaten 15-14. So Munster obviously having the better of that in the second half because Castres had heaps of those in the first half. Nkosi finishes with 58 run meters. Mecca finishes with 14 from 14 tackles for Castres. Haley 94 run meters. Coombs 47. So yeah, some good shifts all round. It was a bit of an arm wrestle. Not so much in the way of try scoring, but boy, when it goes down to the wire, that certainly makes some of the knock-ons and scrums that got reset and whatnot worth it at the end. So yeah, I think it was 4 lead changes all up in that game. So that's kind of what I like to see. Pretty happy with that. Second game, a fair bit more in the way of try scoring. Also, I think 4 lead changes in this one. Cardiff and Quins. It was a bizarre game where sometimes tries were pretty easy to come by. Harlequins had virtually all the ball for the first 5 minutes. Marcus Smith was looking dangerous, and sure enough, he's the guy who puts in the cross kick for Liner on 6 minutes, and Liner did pretty well to step Amos, to be fair, because Amos, I think, thought he was going to try to go over in the corner, but he just shifted the momentum, and the guy, I mean, Amos can only do what he can do. He's going full tilt, so he can't stop, and Liner just uses that kind of pace against him. So yeah, 7 points to 0 for Quins. But then, to be fair, when Cardiff finally actually got some ball, they looked equally dangerous. They ended up getting a try through Owen Lane, his first of 2, a bit of a boomfa, as Justin Marshall, New Zealand commentator and former would say. Boomfa, put the Cardiff defenders on their backsides. So yeah, really, really good play, and 7 points apiece. Owen Lane gets 2 in this game. He had a proper shift, even though he was the man who kept getting sacrificed when there would be yellow cards. Cardiff did go in front when they had a line break, which went close, and then they decided to tap the penalty, and they managed to go over Durati, so it was 14 points to 7. And they held out on 23 minutes, Cardiff, when they were under heaps of pressure. They managed to kind of win a penalty at the breakdown, but ominously, Harlequins' scrum was looking particularly strong, and that was the case throughout the whole game. I wrote a line that said, this is an example of what you would call a helter-skelter game, because within a minute, you had like a Cardiff line break, and then a Harlequins turnover, and then they kicked it upfield, and then Seb Davis, the lock, loose forward, ended up back down, but prior to that, there'd almost been an intercept. Like, it was properly just all over the shop, this game. So, yeah, really crazy stuff, and as I said, kind of quite entertaining to watch. Maybe the coaches wouldn't have thought so, but as a neutral, yeah, pretty fun stuff. Lane, keep going on about the Lane train, putting a try saver on, was it Murley? Always get him confused with another guy. Yeah, it was Murley on the left wing after Marchant makes a really nice line break. So Owen Lane had a properly good game in this one. Yeah, Harlequins not quite able to kind of execute. Cardiff did get a yellow card warning on 34 minutes. Harlequins scrum was dominant, and sure enough, the Cardiff tight head gets yellow carded. Smith puts in a cross-field kick, and with Lane off, because they said Cardiff had to prop the scrum without a prop, so they had to take Owen Lane off, put on Dylan Lewis. Yeah, Quins managed to find the space, so Tyrone Green gets one. A bit messy, but they managed to get it. So half-time, they missed the conversion, but it's 14 points to 12 with Cardiff in front. Run meters are 202 to 110, with Cardiff having the majority, but penalties conceded is 11 to 4. So, yeah, Cardiff being punished, as I said, especially at scrum time. Cardiff did escape another Quins try when that got TMO'd, but Northmore ended up getting one right before the yellow card was finished anyway. So that one was Smith kind of picking it up from his ankle. So he's another guy, like him and Owen Lane were the stars of the show for this one. Marcus Smith picks it up from his ankles, flicks it to Don Brandt, and they get it out wide. So yeah, proper fun stuff. 1914. I think yellow card, 12 points. So pretty costly, but there were so many yellow cards in this game. Harlequins time for a yellow card. Don Brandt gets one for not rolling away. And Cardiff punish immediately. Your man Dylan Lewis just runs straight at Danny Kerr and Marcus Smith. So big prop against two halves. Not much going to happen there other than the prop going over. So good try for Cardiff. They're back in front, 21-19. And then Owen Lane got a pretty unbelievable one on 55. Like the finish is absolutely phenomenal. Magic. I mean, there was a question mark whether he was offside. He looked offside from one of the camera angles, but not too bad from another, whether he was in front of the kicker. But the finish, just to grab the loose ball, dot it down before your body goes into touch, was literally amazing. Unbelievable stuff. So, yeah. And then they had a quick fire kind of double. Domchowski on 55. Was it 55? Maybe it was a bit later. It was pretty much straight after, so it may have been recorded the same minute. I may have made a mistake there. But, yeah, crazy stuff. 33-19. But that's the end of the scoring for Cardiff. But, I mean, they absolutely punished the yellow card. Quins seemed to kind of wake up. Danny Kerr got one. While they still had a man in the bin, he showed some power from a line-out move. That was crazy. And then Harlequins were just pushing. There's a yellow card to Cardiff, and then on 75, Smith, like for the first time in the game, when he's running that attacking move and Cardiff's 22 decides not to go for the crossfield kick, and I think Cardiff's defence was kind of in two minds, and he's able to go for the try. So they even the score up with like 5 minutes to go, and the end of the game is bizarre. Cardiff end up with it's too long, it's a penalty. They remember they got a man in the bin still, it's a penalty too long to kick, so they opt for touch, but then they end up losing the ball, and Harlequins, interestingly enough, kick it long, but then the Cardiff guy, I think it's Adams, gets isolated, and Quins win a penalty, and Smith slots it at the death. So it's an absolute comeback, man. Like 33-19 they were down. And they come back to sneak it at the death. Cardiff maybe kind of question marks about the game management, to be fair. You should be winning it from 33-19 with like kind of 25 minutes to play. But sometimes, like as I said, the scrum was under so much pressure. Sometimes that's just what happens. Yeah, possession and territory is 48-52 to Quinn. So pretty tight. Run meters 387 to 260 to I want to say the Blues. They're not the Blues. To Cardiff. Yeah, so they were playing some proper attractive running rugby. Owen Lane gets 101 of those, so he was absolutely on fire. Like I mentioned, a couple of tries, amazing finish, and a try-saving tackle for him. But penalties conceded 19-11. Yeah, it's kind of hard to live with that. Ratty 13 from 13 tackles. Marchant and Northmore both had 40-plus run meters. Simmons and Lamb both had 12 tackles, so... Yeah, I think about 4 lead changes as well. Proper crazy finish. Both these halves kind of went into the red. So this game literally ended up finishing about 15 minutes after that one, despite having the same kickoff time. So that works for me when I was trying to watch both games at the same time. But anyway, I've gone on for 13 minutes, so I better call it quits. You guys let me know what you reckon. I found both games to be pretty entertaining in kind of different ways. As I said, the errors in this game were sometimes a wee bit frustrating, but... when two sides are as kind of close as they are, sometimes that's just the way it goes. This game, the defence at sometimes was kind of frustrating in itself, but seeing like Owen Lane and Marcus Smith just do their thing was certainly very easy on the eye. You guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.